Like you need to make it very clear what your call to action is. Again, to kind of beat up on some of your guys' ads you sent my way, it has your website at the bottom. It has your phone number. It has your physical address. It has what call to action do you really want? You need to make it very specific and clear. Call now.
Welcome to Business Breakthrough Show with Ted Miller III, where every single episode is hosted live to help you uncover a breakthrough to the single greatest challenge you have in getting your business to where you really, really want it to be. So call in, comment, or share. Now, here's your host, Ted Miller III.
Of what you went through, which was this. Tell me if I got your history right. Because I like to tell your story often because I love your intent. I love the heart for why you created this product line, from your own personal experience, and you went and did this thing. But when you met us about 2006, 2007, the world was coming to an end financially. You were, what I recall, was pretty much wholesaling through GNC. Didn't you get most all your revenue through GNC? And they just started shutting down left and right. It's because everything in 2007 was shutting down. We're going to start feeling a little bit like that coming soon with this recession and double-digit inflation. So that got tight, and we got chatting, and the conversation was, you're primarily B2B. Have you ever considered B2C? Hey, I think we could do some really cool shit if we used education-based marketing and did a radio ad. Does that sound, at least that back end, is that on track or off track?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the most part, it's right. GNC was one of our customers. Most of the business was built around a B2C, a B2B model, and we really wanted to leap over that whole supply chain and take part in more of the margin. And so and we had a fantastic product. One of the funniest things about the dietary supplement industry is the best product is very rarely the best selling product.
Yeah. Wait. Well, let's just stop right there and make sure everyone understands that. The best product doesn't always mean it's the best selling. And if you're in the service industry, the best chiropractor in town going broke, the greatest dentist that you'll love that no one seems to be lined up to go seeing. We know this. Our restaurants, our favorite restaurants for COVID, gone. What do you got now? You better go like whatever you're buying from Costco or Amazon, because otherwise, a big chunk of them are gone. So that's true. And why we love doing what we're doing, to be able to help promote, through the, back then, I believe it was the ultimate sales machine. It could have been a radio spot, could have been you buying the book. We weren't quite partnered with Tony Robbins yet, so it wasn't business mastery, but in some way, shape, or form, you came into our world and you wanted to get a bite out of the B2C market. So don't talk about the product too much yet, because I'm going to let it try to come across at a team cold. And I'm going to see how many men here are going to be dying to buy your product right now. So just so I can make sure I got it right, what's the website? Because I'm going to cite it a couple times for people to go get it, because the number I'm about to give is no longer active. But what's the website? Let's see if everyone goes there.
It's AxisLabs.com. It's spelled AXIS.
All right.
LABS.com. Yeah.
All right, so he wants to get into the extra cash flow. So we'll first start with the ad. Then I'm going to see if you remember some of the cool distinctions that came up with the call center. I did a long sell, a down sell, long sell that I'd never seen ever in the business world. I created it from scratch. I'll explain that to see, and I'm curious if that was as successful for you as I thought it was. But let's just play the ad one time through. You can share a little bit about it from your experience, and then I'm going to go through word by word and break down what made it great. All right. So let's hear it. When's the last time you heard this ad?
Probably 2013.
2013. All right.
Or 2014. Yeah, somewhere in there.
All right. Here we go.
Attention men, did you know that research has discovered one common thread that makes men more likely to be wealthy, successful, and more attractive to women? This single factor is also essential for healthy sex drive, muscle tone, and that unquenchable energy of youth. It's a man's testosterone, and it peaks in his 20s and decreases by 1 to 2% every year thereafter. By the age of 35, rapidly diminishing testosterone levels can result in weight gain, depression, and loss of self-esteem. The good news, Axis Labs is now conducting a research survey on increasing testosterone levels. Participants in a human clinical study using the same method saw an increase in testosterone of 60% naturally, with results in as little as 3 days. This research survey requires no travel and very little time. Your feedback is confidential and collected electronically. During this 30-day research survey, Axis Labs will provide you everything you need for free. Space is limited, so call now. 800-226-9944. That's 800-226-9944. 800-226-9944.
All right. So first of all, this was a massive hit, not a small hit. I remember when you posted it, we got it up on radio. We had to get the FTC involved because people were robbing your ad verbatim that you paid for us to help create for you. And they were just like running it, directing it to their phone number. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right away, the radio buyer that, Chet set us up with, he told us immediately he had never seen cost per calls that low that quickly.
So we set you up with Rich Kagan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a small world.
It was funny cool. Too, because we initially were, trying to pressure him into a cost per call, on our buy. And he was like, I'm not willing to take that kind of risk. Well, he should have, because
he would have made way more money on you.
Yeah, we were offering him $10 a call, and I think we got it down as low as $8. So we, immediately it started polling, but the call center that we were sending them to at first was a disaster. The key thing in a campaign like this was being nimble and quick to change things as quick as as fast as we can. That ad, as I was listening to it, I was like, holy shit, that is one of 50 or 100 versions of it that we ended up cutting because we just kept needing to improve on it.
I'll tell you what it was. It was version 26 of what I wrote. So yeah. Because I keep versions, it's a version 26 of tuning it in. And you've since, and every entrepreneur, when you crack a code, you never stop. He took 26 and did another 100. So again, going back to pick a discipline and determination, a la our late friend that he just cited, Chet Holmes, in this book. Summarize it in a sentence, you're going to all know about PhD. Hey, Rob, have you read this book by any chance? Yeah? Was that a yes? You're muted out. So pick it a discipline and determination.
Yes.
So here's what made this thing work. We're going to go through sentence by sentence. So if we ever want to do such a thing, and now I want to be clear, there's a $2 billion industry with testosterone now, and you've all heard it because pharmaceutical companies, but he has an all natural way to boost your testosterone. So this isn't making your body go, oh, you've given me testosterone, so stop making it. That's what happens if you just naively go in and you don't have great guidance. We're not practicing without a license, nor do I have a licensed medicine. I'm just saying, if your body's being foreignly fed testosterone, it's going to say, okay, whatever's making it, stop producing it. And so he found a way to boost that naturally. And we said, okay, this has got education-based marketing written all over it. But now pharmaceutical companies are talking about the low T thing, and that's $2 billion. He literally, and call me on the BS. You literally cracked that code, didn't you, Chris? You were the first to market. There was no one else out there talking about testosterone. You were part of lighting this match.
Oh, definitely. I mean, a lot of products like Ageless Male and Eugenics kind of followed right behind us. And so, yeah, we were certainly one of the first, especially in a direct response version. I mean, I had those products on the market years prior to this campaign, but it was when we took it to the radio that we really were able to get it to the masses.
Yeah, you're only selling through a GNC because they're an educated audience that already knows they want to boost their testosterone. They're looking for that supplement. That's a very small 3% ready to buy now. And we knew we can grab a wider sense. By the way, I'm not saying because we all have a little gray hair. Chris is the only one that doesn't seem to have any. Neither is Rob. But I mean, you know, the rest of us, how many of us thought like, I'm going to accesslabs.com, right? Because I know Rod's as fit as they come, but we all know testosterone's tied to our longevity when it comes to our health, right? And as entrepreneurs, that's why I teach micro goals, having a bunch of little micro successes. That's what incites your body to initiate and even create testosterone. That's why winners have a tendency to keep winning, by the way, is all those little wins give the testosterone, which gives that confidence, and they keep it's momentum that's created. So I don't know if you guys know that, but those little wins create testosterone in you. And as men, it's a delta. But I want to give you a little, you know, my perspective of every single word, why it was written, and how we came to come up with all these words, and how you can do the same thing. So here's the very first, right out of the gate. I'll do them second by second.
Attention men.
Okay. First of all, what was the first word?
Attention.
Attention. It's called a pattern interrupt. At last, finally, attention. Whatever it is you use, you need to find a pattern interrupt in the media that you're in that's going to stop them from doing what they do, right? So we use the word attention. Second was men. So who are we selling to?
Men.
Men. Shouldn't be that hard, right? Yet, often you guys send me your ads and you're just blah, 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 blah about your product and your service, how great it is. And you still we don't even know if it's relevant to me yet. People are going to filter you out super fast. So we had to hit it in 1 second. Am I the audience? Yes or no? I'm a male. Great. I should listen. Female, swipe left, right, whatever the app. And this is radio, by the way.
Did you know that research has discovered one common thread that makes...
Did we tell them what we're talking about?
No.
Why don't you tell them what you're talking about? You all want to talk about your damn product and service so fast. Why won't you tell them what we're talking about?
Keep the curiosity going.
They don't have any
Boom.
action.
Nailed it. Curiosity. Your brain has a greater vivid ability to fill in with so much more excitement and passion than anyone could ever share. So you tap into that curiosity by...
You know that research has discovered one common thread.
Now, we cited research. Why in the hell would we want to say the word research in this form of curiosity?
Third-party credibility.
In an instant, Chris is known. So this whole concept is we didn't use my voice or Chris's voice. I went through it and I did it auditorily and gave it to our audio guy, which not only do we hook it with Chris, with Rich Kagan, I remember connecting to this audio guy. It was a guy that we used on something else. He just felt like he could do what I was hoping for, which is to take the tone at the right time. So right now we're trying to make him sound like an authority figure. Specifically, Nate, you picked up on that. But since we're going to talk about something about health, I want it to feel like a freaking doctor, like one of those no BS doctors from the Midwest. Sit down, shut up. Let me tell you how it is. Kind of a little bit of that energy. So the tone, this is the instruction it was given just to say these words.
Makes men more likely to be wealthy, successful, and more attractive to women.
Hold on a minute. How many benefits did I just give?
3.
And we're at 8 seconds in. You know how long your copy is that you guys send me about, here's my marketing material, and I can't find a benefit. You tell me what you do. You don't give me the benefit of it. Like, I'm telling you, this is 3, but I'm a big fan of Robert Cialdini. One of his subconscious influences that he speaks of is consistency. So I went 1, 2, 3. My intent was to do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 as a subconscious way. I ran out of time because I had to get this down to 60 seconds. I'll tell you how I used this. I didn't stop using that strategy. I just had to change my approach. So again, it was 3 benefits, which are, let's back them up just so we can hear them again.
Successful and more attractive to women. This single factor is also essential for healthy sex drive, muscle tone, and that unquenchable energy of youth.
Do you see how we went 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 again?
Mm-hmm.
Because the way the brain works, like it remembers beginning and endings. So we want to just hit them with constant arcs, little mini constant arcs. So we have 6 benefits and you don't even know what it is yet.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Now that is sexy sizzle sauce for marketing. The problem is we're all heart-centered human beings, and we're smart enough. Chris knew that guy blew my mind when I'm doing this audit and I'm drilling him about his product and his services. And suddenly he's talking about diet. And I thought I was the king of nutrition. I had 7,000 chiropractors as clients, and I'm talking to Chris and he's schooling me, and I'm taking notes, not just for his product. I'm like, I got to stay on top of my game. I got kids, I got babies, I got to stay strong. I want to boost my test. I want to keep this going. So we're just talking about things and this and that, avocado, this and that. And I was, what feeds it naturally? So I was really excited, but I knew what would work for marketing. But at some point we got to frame it. And I want to be clear. Everyone knows what testosterone is today. Back when this ad ran, nobody. It was not a thing you talked about unless you were a doctor. So this is where we let the shoe drop.
It's a man's testosterone, and it peaks in his 20s and decreases by 1 to 2% every year thereafter.
Now, did you notice we gave a little data?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was this a world according to Chris?
No, by third party.
Third party. Why would we cite third party?
Trust.
Because it's as if the word of God when you say according to and research says. But the second you go, but you don't understand. I want to tell you my story. I went to Donald Miller's event and, now I want to tell everyone my story. You don't understand. I struggle with this stuff and you're just like me. And you too can boost your testosterone if you learned what I learned. He could have went that route, but it would have not been nearly as effective as making this story about the unknown hero, which is the listener. They're going to uncover a methodology where they can be the hero in their own story. And this is not about Chris being the hero. We never even go into that in this entire ad. I've used it in other ads, but not in this one. This one's very much about citing market data because we needed to set a buying criteria in the mind's eye. We needed people listening in 60 seconds to set an entirely new criteria for their health. So far, all you know is testosterone, but now we just dropped this research and said,
and decreases by 1 to 2% every year thereafter.
Now you notice what started happening with the tone a little bit. Right? And if you didn't notice, here it comes.
By the age of 35, rapidly diminishing testosterone levels can result in weight gain, depression, and loss of self-esteem.
I still use the power of 3, but am I talking good now? Am I talking about happy-go-lucky, smiling, rainbows and fairy dust? No. What happened to the tone?
Drop down.
Totally drop down because I want to make it clear what we're using is basic associative conditioning. There is the carrot and there's the stick. We all want to talk about our best foot forward, what makes it exciting. Like you all desire my product or my service because of, but pain is 6 times more motivational than prospect gain. So that's why we need to go in and make it really clear that they have pain they're experiencing now they were unaware of. Like how many of you guys knew that your testosterone dropped like a freaking lead balloon after a certain age? Did you guys know that before this? I mean, you get it when you're older, but when you're 40, you didn't care. Like, how old are you, Chris?
I'm 43.
You don't know that stuff unless you knew what you knew. You're just going along in life. Like, yeah, everything's fine. I'll have this forever. Until one day you're like, what happened? A couple of you might know what I'm talking about. So we're halfway through. We're only 27 seconds. But wait, there's more, according to Kevin Harrington, right?
The good news, Axis Labs is now conducting a research survey on increasing testosterone levels. Participants in a human clinical study using the same method saw an increase in testosterone of 60% naturally, with results in as little as 3 days. This research survey requires no travel and very little time.
All right. So a lot was said there. I want to unpack it, but I'm just going to ask you straight up. What was just asked of you to participate in what?
A free
Trial.
Someone said a trial. Someone else said what?
Like a free study or something.
A free study. What else? Anyone?
An experiment.
An experiment? Okay. So clinical trials cost how much, Chris?
The
client that does these right now, she told me $2 million right now. Back
Yeah, it
then,
depends
it
on the
might have
size.
been 1.25 million ish.
Mhm. Mhm.
So here's what we did. This is the most ninja thing in the whole ad. You tell them what you want them to do. You cite this other thing that's even exponentially more credible, but then you go tell them what you want to do. Because we have very regulated industry. Anytime you try to make any kind of claim, you can get shot down. So we had to be very meticulous with every word choice that we have. And so this is some really cool, like this is that NLP stuff they're talking about. It's like, which by the way, I'm not trained in it. So I'm only stating it because other people said that's what it is, which was this. I want to repeat it.
Now conducting a research survey.
Research survey. No harm in that, right? That's what we're doing. You can't be held accountable. You can't be said you're practicing without a license. You can't say you're promising to treat a cure. No, you're just doing a research survey, but then you do this.
On increasing testosterone levels, participants in a human clinical study using the same method saw an increase in testosterone of 60% naturally.
So that cost a ton of money to make happen. To have double-blind studies already identified a 60% increase is a huge thing. We absolutely needed to cite that. So that's where we cited it, and then we go.
Results in as little as 3 days. This research survey requires no travel and very little time. Your feedback is confidential and collected electronically.
Did you catch that? Then we tell them what we want them to do. A research survey. Pretty simple. And we give them how many benefits? Did you catch it?
3 more.
Still 3 more. Like three. I'm trying to do 3s. I run out of time. I'll tell you what I did.
It requires no travel and very little time. Your feedback is confidential and collected electronically.
So if you guys are writing notes on this and you're writing your own copy and you're trying to dissect and use every single one of these strategies and tactics that we use, this is called lowering the barrier of entry. You want to make it very simple and easy for people to want to do business with you. Another way of saying this, other great copywriters like Perry Belcher, he said, if you don't overcome their objection in this time, well, they're never going to even follow through to your call to action. You need to unravel their objections. So that another way of lowering the barrier of entry is saying we're overcoming the most common objections they could think of, which is, I don't want to do that because of these 3 things.
Days. This research survey requires no travel and very little time. Your feedback is confidential and collected electronically.
Right? We're talking about testosterone. Why do we want to say things like confidential? You guys get it, right?
Still private.
It's private. And no one wants, Rob's name on the front website of Chris's Access Lab saying this man has no testosterone. And he's like, no one wants that, right? So we take every major objection, we just overcome it in advance in the ad. But wait, there's even more.
During this 30-day research survey, Access Labs will provide you everything you need for free.
All right. How much does it cost?
Nada.
But how much? But do you already know it's going to be nada?
Yes.
You know it's nada, but you know it's not nada, right? Like, what do you know is going to happen when you call?
You participate. You're going to get asked for something.
Going to ask for something, but we don't even ask for a sale. We just ask to cover things like processing and handling. There's a facility. It's a pharmaceutical grade facility, needs to make it, and then they got to drop ship it, and they got to put it in a box and all these type of things. So we just charge for that. Now, conveniently, that fee costs shipping, but it also covers the hard expense of Chris's product. You can't make a methodology. It's called a loss leader. He's not going to make any money on this transaction. He's going to make it on the back end. You all know that. But we want to first go from cold prospects to I'm a paying client, and we can cross-sell and upsell this great success. And I'll explain how we did that later. But this is just the ad. And then to wrap up the last 9 seconds, it goes,
Space is limited, so call now.
Why do we say space is limited?
Sense of urgency.
That's right. Another subconscious influencer, Robert Cialdini, fear of missing out. And I say call now. Why do you say call now? Believe it or not, otherwise they just won't. Like, you need to make it very clear what your call to action is. Again, to kind of beat up on some of your guys' ads you sent my way, it has your website at the bottom. It has your phone number. It has your physical address. It has what call to action do you really want? You need to make it very specific and clear. Call now. Call what?
800-226-9944. That's 800-226-9944. 800-226-9944.
So there was a singy-songy nature to it. I'm not going to bother to go into it now, but US numbers are 10 digits long. You have about 6 to 7 short-term digits. I learned that from Rich Kagan. So we used 800, 9, 40, 40, 52. And that got us down to short-term memory. And we went to the races with that win. We were using that here in his ad, trying to get the right 800 number that can be memory-wise only about 6 or 7 digits. And then the ad just blew up. So who's got some hey Chris or hey Ted questions on this, as we just broke down a 60-second spot? Everyone's like, for me to share my core story, I need 67 slides of a PowerPoint presentation in 2 hours of someone's time. No, you do not. We just did that in 60 seconds.
That's great.
A core story in 60 seconds. That's what this is. So who's got any hey Ted questions or hey Chris questions?
I have a question.
Thanks, Miguel.
How was the first version in performance compared to this 26th version?
This was the first one he paid an ad for. So let's ask Chris. The version 26. So to answer Nathan's questions, then Chris, you get to answer what you did with 26 after, because he paid us to use our skill to do it. I would go to my team of consultants. I got 34 consultants. I say, okay, guys, what are we all working on? I go, okay, I got one. It's called, and then I'd read them my version. And they go, yeah, but you're missing this. Or, hey, yeah, how about that? Or, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to add that. So I have great minds in my room. I got some of the my team is, Chris bragged a little bit, so I'll use a little bit of that, but like he's name dropping some of the greatest marketers of all time. So that's how I like to roll, is I put brilliant people in my circle. So I'm like, hey, Chetbo, we're working on this thing, and he can add a little fairy dust. And he may only added 2 words, but if you think those 2 words don't matter, you haven't been around to crack a code that can overwhelm you. I mean, send you more clients than you can ever handle. That's how important 2 words can be. And so that's what this is. Version 26 was editing these versions. But Chris, how many different versions have you grown through, and has it gotten as good, better? Because things change over time. You got to make it fresh so it doesn't get stale. What do you got to say about the efficacy of that from version 26 to version 100? What's happened over time?
Well, I can honestly say we never improved on that first copy. What ended up happening was, as we took this ad to more and more stations, they wanted us to substantiate the claims that we were making within the ad. And so, and I did. Each one of those claims that we made, I was able to produce studies or anything that could back it up. If they found what I gave to be not enough, that we would have to change a word within it, and we found that to be problematic. I also
one little word of something excellent, but you could make it. That's where A/B testing comes into play. If you change like 5 different elements, Nate, you don't know what made it better or worse. So if you can do a true A/B test to see this one versus that one, you'll know, did it make it better or worse, if you have enough like traffic to justify it, right?
Yep. And then we also, I remember taking this ad to Sirius XM, and they had a problem with the for free at the end, and we added the words, "You just pay shipping," in the ad. I'm not kidding when I say we went from like $10 calls to $60 calls. That it really murdered the ad to do that. It was so bad that I was willing to forego SiriusXM and try to
just
find
go somewhere else.
Right. Because no one was going to get hoodwinked. When they called, they were going to be told the terms of the sale.
It's actually better than hoodwinked. I'll share that before we let each other go. Like, you had the greatest, like most ethical, loving way of selling. I can't wait to tell you guys this downsell, long sell thing. It was brilliant. Yet arbitrage, meaning grabbing someone's attention here and there, it's more expensive. So the one thing that you never did, I wanted to do, and we might not have done because of my ego or our relationship didn't continue. It could have been a million reasons, but my vision long-term was to take it, You test it on radio just so you can take it to the next media, meaning now you can maybe test it online on the internet. But back then it was cheaper on radio to get the words right. Now that I got 60 seconds down right, now I can do video production because I got the words and I got to get video right. Then I do the internet right. Then I go to TV. Then I go, and that's how we build. And we've done brands that have just blown up and been huge, massive, epic successes. You've just got to take it from media type to media type with the same language and the same model. Right. And so that, was one vision that I had. But yeah, Nate, so how do you, how many versions got even better? Gets tougher. Like it gets more difficult. Meaning like I did Sirius Satellite Radio. Who was saying he didn't have fun going there? We started there. What happened with us is simply there were more people going to satellite radio. And when it became more relevant, like as the place to run ads, it just became more expensive. So from $9 to $6, $9 to $16 to $36, it's exponentially more expensive just to have the same person call to ultimately just leave a voicemail anyhow for on our end. So definitely know how Chris feels. By the way, Nate is no marketing schmo. He is someone I use and have used for over a decade. He's got some of the greatest skills and abilities to write brilliant copy to get meetings with the most impossible to reach executives, typical executives, B2B or B2G environment that are impossible to reach. He finds a way to get appointments, like literally get an appointment on schedule and get them to show up. So it's like, that's what he does. That's really brilliant. Linkstrategies.com, right? So brilliant. Now, you were talking about the call center. I remember I get on the phone with call center. They're sucking wind. I'm like, okay, we got to fix this. I want you to trust people as far as you can throw them that they're going to be able to facilitate, what you need done. So you really need to think through it. So one is I scripted out every single word. But what I needed to script against was that the current criteria of someone calling on the phone and you hear a telemarketer. Do you guys know this experience? You get on the phone and you talk to someone, it might be customer service, but you just instantly know, I'm on the phone with that person. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It changes so much. So we needed to overcome people's freeze, fight, flight tendency to here comes another sales pitch. So the way we mapped this out was brilliant, which is, hey, we cover this. You pay for shipping and handling. What was it? Was it 17 or 14? 14.97. Do you remember? I think we got it down to only 14.97 to cover
14.97. Yeah.
And it covered his hard costs. It covered the shipping. So it doesn't cost him too much. He might have maybe not making, might not have made any money. You might have made $1 or $2. It depends, like as things change through time. But if I were mistaken, or my memory is correct, it wasn't making you a penny. You might have only lost a penny or two. But what we did was this really interesting thing. At the end of, so we would then call and do a really cool thing. I asked Chris, I go, what's the point of satisfaction? Well, one is when they buy a thing. Okay, great. We use that. And that's how we got them into the sale. 2 is when they experience a thing. Now his product has this really interesting benefit. You get boosted energy. Your body starts making testosterone. Testosterone is such a powerful factor, an energy factor. And it's got a lot of different herbal or nutraceutical elements in there that incited you to like have more juice and go the extra mile, that people felt this quickly, like in 2 days, 3 days. So we had them call proactively to mitigate someone wanting to cancel or to do the thing we want, which is to buy our product forever. So this is the way it was set up. Try this out for 30 days. It's $14.97. And at the end, if it's not brilliant and it doesn't help incite the changes you want, well, no harm, no foul. If you do like it, we're going to send like $249 of stuff. And this is all of Access Lab stuff. They had many product lines. And so now they go, okay, I'll sign up and I'm either going to, if I'm either going to cancel, I'm going to get like $197 worth of stuff, a big box of stuff. But we called 2 days in, they say, hey, by the way, this is that confidential conversation about giving, they have a moral obligation to give us feedback, right? That was the whole reason why we undercut this expense. So we're no longer a call center trying to sell you stuff. I'm here just to serve and get information. So I'm just kind of curious. Hey, Nate, you've been using this product for 3 days. Any benefits sneak up on you? Like, and if people weren't saying much, they would say, well, I mean, other callers are telling me boost of energy. Do you have an increase in energy? Yeah, I have. Okay, what it was before? What do you think it is then? Well, it was a 5. Now it's a 7 in 2 days. Wow, 5 to 7. Okay, how about sex drive? Okay, how about I went through a list of things that were vetted out by Chris that were acceptable. And then at the end was this question. Had to teach him to do the well, I'm curious. The words I'm curious lowers the barrier of entry. Are you the type of person who likes to save money? Total pattern interrupt in the conversation. Everything shifted. What? Well, I mean, you sound, and they repeat back everything they said that was beneficial. Boom, 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 boom. Sounds like you're going to love these products, maybe transform your life. Like, this is just the beginning. You have no clue how great this is going to be, because I hear from clients like you that are in week or month 2 and how everything's changed for them. So you're going in the right direction. But the reason I ask is, well, we got this, and I forgot what we called it, like a gold service plan or something. It was like sign up as a something membership and an auto ship. Because the bottle, are you taking the way it says? Yeah, okay, only want so many a day. Okay, that's a 30-day supply. Well, we have an auto ship that at the end of 30 days, will send you this product to replace the last one. Whereas if you just continue, there's a box and you got this product and that product and this product. But here's what they've done at Access Labs is if you do the auto ship, they'll give you one product each week, a month for free. You'll eventually try those other products for free anyhow. So if you and do you remember what your auto ship price was for the product on a monthly?
119.
So it was from like $249 getting talked out of it to go down to $119. We basically taught people to talk people out of 249 to 197 or 147. Do you guys see how it's a downsell?
Mm-hmm.
Intentionally. Because he had history of selling B2C and he could see how long they would stick on his product on average. And I said, well, great, let's extend that, because there's more than getting new clients is only one way to grow a business. Increasing frequency, purchase, and transactional value, citing Jay Abraham's fundamental thinking of growing a business. Mm-hmm. So we said, let's make that happen and get them on a monthly, and they're going to stick. Do you remember what your average stick rate was from those? When it's all said and done?
I think we had about a 20% churn on the first transaction. So we retained about 80%.
Which everyone, by the way, heard 20% and thought you retained 20, because anyone doing B2C, they're lucky to get 20. So 80% sticks on the first. And do you know how, on average, how long they buy from you, what the average was?
We had customers that stayed with us until we shut down the company. I mean, it was as long as multiple years. But I remember for the longest time, we were calculating our LTV at about $700 a customer.
$700. And we're talking about, at the most expensive, $36 for a phone call or something. I mean, it was like once you do this math and you crack your code, now it's just add, water, watch, grow. But if you can get to a point to where you're just paying for new client acquisition, you're set free. And so you couldn't just get the advertisement right. You had to get the facilitation of the sale right, which was a hired third-party external call center. And we had to train them up on how to say it. We had to put them through trainings to be heart-centered, to not be as salesy, but to be educational in their nature. And to, really want to talk people out of spending so much money. Just spend less, but they'll spend more long-term, some for years, all because of educational-based marketing and selling methodology, instead of just let's get what we can now and just start, skinning sheep instead of shearing sheep. It was just a way to add more value, because that's, at the end of the day, his culture was being of service to people. Any Hey Ted questions or anything for Chris specifically? No? Yeah, what was
I
that,
will
Chris?
point something out really quick. One of the brilliant parts about this campaign was the fact that we were pitching the research survey. It really gave us an opening to have the opportunity to remind the customer as to the benefits of the product and help them realize the changes they were seeing from the very beginning of the ad.
Yep.
We were already planting the seeds for retention, and that's what I think is key about this, that the retention was so great because we were constantly in touch with the customer, reminding them why the product was needed, what changes they were seeing, and how they felt prior to taking the product. And it was giving them that reminder, because once you're taking it, after a while you feel great, but now you think that's your new standard, that's your
Yep.
new normal baseline. But so it took the opportunity to stay in touch with them and remind them of the benefits. But that seed was planted from the very first ad they heard.
The reason they come is the reason they'll buy, is my language. If you get them through education, the reason they'll buy is education, not just the experience of the product. Like that should be a foregone conclusion. If your product sucks, you got to go back to the drawing board and get a better product line. And Chris had some of the best out there, but he had other companies that could just outmarket them, because in big box retail, they would just have big end caps with all this shiny stuff. And even then, Chris had a hologram on his label when I went to GNC, a freaking hologram. You know how expensive that cost? Like, I looked at that and I was like, that packaging was not cheap, right? That was you that had the hologram, right?
Yeah, we did.
It's
Trying to see if
insane.
I have the box back there.
It's crazy insane. So to
I don't
compete
have
at
it.
that level, it all changed. He could have put paper on his wrapper. You know what I mean? He could have handwritten, like, I literally have people in that business. They make it look kind of like mommy, poppy, misprinty by design, intentionally, because it feels like what their identity is, right? So you suddenly don't have to spend all that money, which we never got around to doing. But if you can repackage your product that doesn't have to be shelf sellable ready, right? You could save a ton of money on packaging, because that's a fixed expense, normally fixed. But when you move from B to B, you went B to C. From business to business wholesale, you went B to C. So we did downsell, long sell, which was great. Had them in their mind, happy to spend, if this works, whatever it was, like $249. And then intentionally had people call and talk them out of it to do a monthly reoccurring at a much cheaper price. To this day, Chris, no one's caught on and used that.
Wow.
I've not seen anyone, because they didn't secret shop you. We saw tons of people secret shopping you, but no one did the downsell, long sell. And to this day, I can't believe no one's ran with it. It's like one of the coolest things I've created that no one's ever used. Like, I hope I get another B2C client so we could just talk them into doing that, because it was so effective. It was so good. And I'm glad that they used it forever. Now, when I took your product, I was of the age I didn't need it. Guess what, brother? Some things changed. Look at how little hair I got up front here now. So is that product still available? Is it a thing we can buy?
Yeah, it's on the website right now. It's just these days we
out.
call it the ultimate testosterone stack.
Ultimate testosterone stack. All right, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to look at it. I'm on a very restrictive diet right now, working on a bacterial infection. So I'll put that in my queue and get that into my world. I love that we were able to capture this moment where we break down that ad, because that ad, not everyone gets a chance to do it. And everyone wants me to play ads for today, but my clients don't want their ads being exposed for what makes it work, because it's like handing over the tickets. Like, there are people that weren't even around. Russell Brunson to this day has a thing called funnel hacking, and thousands of people go to it to go learn how to steal other people's great marketing. So, and then he tells everyone, oh, by the way, Ultimate Sales Machine, there are coaches there who trained me. They helped us grow from 0 to 100 million, gives us way too much credit to this system. And then he sends everyone after us to secret shop us. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So no one wants me to do it in real time. That's why I got to pull out some oldies and goodies. The next one I'm going to hit up is Eleanor Welsh. Because I used her in the ad. I used her pictures in the ad. 10 years older, 10 years younger. And I showed how every decade she looked younger and younger and prettier and better looking every 10 years. Because that's what her company's about, was beautification without doing that full facial reconstruction or breast augmentation, nothing evasive, non-evasive procedures. Because it's amazing how the people perceive beauty, and it could be like micro little millimeter adjustments. There's like certain mental cues your body has on what beauty looks like from proportionality, that something so small, they'll use the appropriate amount of Juvederm to fill in something, and they look so much more beautiful. Versus what's that woman that like lion woman? I think she's the quintessential. She's had so much surgery done. She just looks like a lion now. Big fat lips and big funky cheeks.
Oh,
This is gorgeous.
I've seen her.
Right? Yeah. So we used that imagery as well we cited it without using it, which was like, don't go somewhere else. Because in Canada, anyone that had pretty much anyone could shoot you up with something. Like, it wasn't as well restricted. So we had to teach the audience, like, you need to come to a place where only people ever working with you that has a needle in their hand is a nurse practitioner. So we had to teach their nurses educational based selling. So we had nurses learning how to sell through the same methodology. Wow. Well, I loved it. I've always enjoyed you, and your wife was involved in the business back then equally, from what I recall. But now you guys have got kids. Like, how many kids? I went on social media and I saw a bunch of babies. How many you got?
We have 3.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Great. You guys weren't even talking about kids back then. So how old's your oldest?
Our oldest is 10.
Okay, so it's been over a decade since we spoke.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole thing started with trying to have kids. I don't know if you remember that. We had that written in the pamphlet we had in the box, but I was talking about how we were trying to conceive, and I had low testosterone, and but I couldn't use steroids to raise my testosterone because that makes you infertile. And so I said, well, I better get to work. And so, we worked on the product, and I mean, it's damn effective. It still is.
You've got 3 kids effective.
Yeah, it was a great product, still is. I mean, even though it's not my primary focus anymore, is that, but I mean, we still keep it in play because
it's so beautiful to hear you tell the story. I wasn't going to rob you of telling that story. That is so effective. It's not my story to tell, and I've never cited that. But if that's something you're publicly willing to share, from now on, I'll put that as a part of the story, which was like the whole reason he created that. What I was alluding to his heart-centered nature was he had personal struggles. And so he found a product to help heal himself, and he wanted to share that with the world. And yes, great way to make money is helping other people avoid that. Because boy, infertility is on an all-time high, more than ever before. Couples are struggling to get to have children. And boy, and a lot of people, I think by default, because women carry the baby, think it's on the woman's side. And Chris is here to prove, no, it's a 50-50 game. It's what you bring to the table. And Chris shows that you can adjust that in a very positive way, let alone, drive that shows up in business, just the natural energy you have to go that extra mile. And we all desire to have that. There's a guy in Aspen, Colorado, that he owned a ski company. Now it's really making more snowboards than skis. He skis at 100 years in Aspen, Colorado. So when I say I'm going to live to 120 years, it's because I'm looking at people like that. So I'm just a third of the way through my life. I'm just getting, I'm more than a third, but I mean, my point is, I got a lot more to live, and I'm appreciative for people like you, Chris, that make our life so much more enjoyable. Was this fun for you guys? Cause it's a geeky thing for me to break down what works, but Rob, for you and IT services, do you feel like just seeing some of those steps, is that helpful in any way, shape, or form for you?
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah. I love it. It's a unique format is where I wanted to hyper focus on a hot seat for someone who had past proven experience, because it's a hot seat happens organically on these business breakthrough community sessions. But that hot seat finds a breakthrough in the moment. I wanted to find a breakthrough from a decade ago and pull it out and talk about real world. What changed? We were found a way to get clients that stayed with you till you closed business down. You're getting $900 per client on average. That sounds exciting.
That's really good for comp.
Really good. And one product bottle was how much on average? Your bottle per product cost is what?
So it was a 2-bottle package. I think between the two, it was about that. I mean, we were buying tens of thousands of them at a time, but I mean, about $13 for the pair.
Yeah.
$14 for the pair. Yeah.
And then how much were they paying for it?
$120.
$120. And again, notice he did them by pairs. Like sometimes everyone's trying to sell right now. The closing thing I'll give you guys is that educational based marketing greases the skids, as we talked about today. But one thing it does better than other things, I told Nathan this several years ago when he was a client, is called top-down selling. Most people are trying to have a book, in MySpace, just so they can sell like my workshop, and they want to secret shop my workshop methodology for $250. I got a 2.5-hour engagement. It's mind-blowingly good. Thank you, Nate. You're on my website to this day for your testimonial. And then from that, we did what I think Chris did, right? We get you in, he did a home study way back in the day. I hope and pray that he went through the ding thing. I don't do that anymore. We go through it live to make sure people are digesting it into their business. I have a mentorship, so you don't have to pay $36,000 a month consulting fees. We're able to give that kind of guidance at the end of every training session. And we include one-on-one coaching to hold people accountable. And that's only $5,000. Then we have consulting services, like I mentioned, at $36,000. Top-down selling is if you're using educational-based marketing brilliantly, you're not trying to say, hey, what's it going to take to get you in my thing today? That puts everyone in a freeze, fight, flight state of mind. And at best, they're only going to go up to one next step. But if you do educational-based marketing and you're citing data, they're going to see you as an expert. They want to know the best thing you have to offer. So you have a moral obligation that if you won over their attention, once you won their attention through marketing in your sales methodologies, to offer the best thing you have to offer and go backwards. Not everyone came from $249 down to $149. Some said, no, I'll take it all. Because for them, $249 wasn't nothing but a G thing. But for you is to offer what's the best thing that you have to offer and go back through top-down selling. In the marketplace, everyone's agreeing. Recently, a digital marketer, Ryan Dice, said the same thing. I've been just saying it for a little bit longer, but it's currently played out enough that it's commonplace. If you do not offer the best thing you have to offer early enough, you lose the market share because you stayed irrelevant. You didn't make enough of a positive change in IT services, appointment generation, or whatever type of business that you have. So consider, how can you start presenting the best way you can help people even further, your highest possible price, your highest possible value earlier in your sales process. It allows them to truly make an enrollment decision. Yes, I want that now, versus you trying to sell them from bottom up, which usually means you lose that engagement along the way. So top-down selling, another huge one. We could spend an entire hour on that one alone. So gang, we're getting at the end of this session, but if you're watching this on YouTube, click the very next session. You're going to be able to see another Business Breakthrough Community session. If you're on the podcast, subscribe to it and listen to the other sessions. Or if you're on the social media sites, check out, follow us, like, and whatever it is you need to do on whatever platform you are. And you can see some of the magical moments where we boil down the best of these moments down to 2-minute sound bites. But the best thing you get to do is show up live. Be here next week on the Business Breakthrough Community session, and I'll see you in the inside. Take care, everyone. Blessings for you guys' time.
Thanks for listening to Business Breakthroughs with Ted Miller III. helping you discover breakthroughs to the single greatest challenge to getting your business to where you really, really want it to be. Join us every week at this time or anytime 24/7 by listening to us on iTunes at Business Breakthroughs with Ted Miller III.